can hear me. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. This hopefully will be relatively brief, but I want to address some serious things now that have needed to be addressed. The county clerk's office is a busy one with several divisions, recording vital records, genealogy, tax extension, and more. But as we all know, it's the election process that garners the most attention. What specifically has brought me to have this press conference today are several disturbingly false statements from my opponent that I feel must be addressed so that not even one voter feels disenfranchised or afraid of our election process here in McLean County. In any political race, there are going to be things said that aren't true or twisted, and for over a year now I've ignored statement after statement by my opponent that simply were not true, because this is just part of political campaigning for candidates who cannot run on facts. However, the comments by my opponent must be addressed now because they have been published nationally in the Huffington Post and question the very integrity of McLean County elections. These defamatory statements demand answers from my opponent, and it is our hope following this press conference that the media starts asking for proof of these outlandish accusations, which only serve to be a deliberate effort to cause harm to the integrity of the clerk's office and cause deep distrust with voters regarding our election process in McLean County. This from the Huffington Post, August 31st, and it's online. Richards is actually making her county clerk race interesting. She's been raising concerns about the current clerk's unethical decision to remove polling places in two largely minority and low-income neighborhoods. There isn't a bus line in those neighborhoods either, she said, which means it will be a lot more difficult for people there to vote. There's a history in this office of voter suppression, says Richards. There is nothing in this statement that is true. There was also this most appalling statement by my opponent on video 2 weeks ago during a Democratic rally in Bloomington when candidate for Governor J.B. Pritzker was the guest speaker. My opponent said this, and it is on video. I'm running to stop the voter suppression in the county clerk's office against the disabled, blacks, and browns. It's difficult for me to even find words to respond to this. Everyone knows of our years of outreach to civic and nonprofit organizations, churches, and schools throughout the entire county. It is well known that our office assists with numerous voter registrations drives and always assist and encourage mock elections and voter registration drives at high schools all around the country, all around the county. These types of deliberately false statements hurt the very voters my opponent professes to care about by attempting to make our citizens not trust the integrity of our voting process. I believe the many strides that have been made over the years regarding the voting process here in Illinois as positive steps, not negative. Remember when you cast your first vote years ago when it could only be cast on the second Tuesday of November? We now have 40 days of early voting. Any voter also has the opportunity to vote from home by requesting their ballot be mailed to them. Easy peasy, as someone recently stated. And as of 2016, a resident can walk in his or her polling place on election day and with proper ID can register to vote and vote. So let's do some fact checking on Nikita Richards' damaging statements. Voter suppression. This from the Huffington Post, her quote, "There's a history in this office of voter suppression." There is no history of voter suppression in the McLean County Clerk's office. We are so very proud of our well-trained, honest, hardworking, ethical, Democratic, and Republican election judges at every polling place who return year after year to work with us. In their election judge binders, there is always a comment suggestion form which election judges complete and turn in with all their other forms at the end of each long election day. These can be submitted anonymously. There has never been a comment, not one, with a concern about our election process causing voter suppression, ever. Our office staff has never received a phone call following any election complaining about voter suppression, ever. We have never had a question from any media outlet about questions that they may have received about voter suppression, ever. There has never been an investigation by the Attorney General's office or the state's attorney's office, ever. There has never been a call from the McLean County Democratic Party leadership in our last 8 years in office, or the Republican Party leadership, or the Libertarian Party leadership for any kind of investigation of any voter suppression ever. And my opponent's comments about student voter suppression on video, and I've linked to all these videos. This was videotaped earlier this summer. On July 28th of this year, my opponent stated, and I quote, "College students had their basic civil rights taken from them, that right to vote, those individuals who were being turned away at the polls, and we ran out of Democratic ballots." In your packet, you will find a summary along with the full minutes of the finance committees from several meetings in 2015 and 2016. As you review the information, please note who are members of that committee. And a very important story that was missed by the media at that time was the fact that I anticipated the long lines were going to be a concern because of the new same-day law, and I asked in 2015 for more funds, for more election equipment, and for more election judges. I was denied that request with a statement of, let's see, and not meant to any ill effect by this statement, but it was, let's see how the primary plays out. Well, we all saw how it played out. My next request following the 2016 primary for more funds was granted unanimously. Regarding the 2016 primary, a Democratic election judge at Bone Student Center stated they did not suppress any votes, and there were always Democratic and Republican ballots. No one was turned away, no one. Another person stated there was no ballot shortage. Almost a year and a half later, these falsehoods continue to be perpetuated. The current McLean County Democratic chair knows these statements are blatantly false and yet continues to enable this narrative. The next outrageous statement from my opponent, changing of polling places unethical. This too from the Huffington Post. Current clerk's unethical decision to remove polling places in two largely minority and low-income neighborhoods. There isn't a bus line in those neighborhoods either, she said, which means it will be a lot more difficult for people there to vote. This statement shows a complete lack of understanding of the county clerk's office. This statement makes it seem that I closed down polling places without offering other locations, thus depriving voters in that area. We have never closed down a polling place without having a nearby location to become the new polling place. A clerk cannot change a polling place location without approval from the county board. There are bus lines in all our polling place neighborhoods. The most recent polling place locations needing to be changed, as most of you know, were Normal West High School and Parkside Junior High at their request, for security and safety reasons. The voters affected were sent new cards by law and a letter with details of the reason and information about their new location, Heartland Community College, who were thrilled to have the voters, and they are on a bus line. The third polling place location was closed and taken over by a bank. The bank representative indicated they could not have the building ready to be a polling place for the next election. We followed all legal procedures and sent new voter cards to the voters in that area with a letter indicating their new location, just 2/10 of a mile away at First Assembly of God Church. In fact, we worked with Connect Transit and Checker Cab again, who readily and graciously agreed to offer free rides to all voters to and from all polling places. In the voter letters with their new voter cards, they received the letter of explanation along with an insert about Connect Transit and Checker Cab with their contact information, email, and phone numbers to have at hand for free rides on Election Day. I would like to once again state that all our polling places are ADA compliant. In fact, this is a legal requirement by all election authorities. By law, we are all required to submit a complete ADA survey to the State Board of Elections every 2 years. Every election authority is obliged by law to do this. And the next item, the county clerk should not count her own votes. This also is linked to a YouTube where all these can be verified. No county clerk counts their votes. There is an entire legal election process that takes place each election under great scrutiny. Of 102 counties in Illinois, 95 of these counties' elections are handled by the county clerk. Votes are tallied at each polling place under strict supervision of Democratic and Republican election judges in accordance with state election laws. And in most elections, poll watchers are in attendance throughout the day. Votes are secured and returned by 2 election judges, a Democrat and a Republican. The memory cards where the votes are handed off to our election vendor, again, under the watchful eye of Democratic and Republican judges. The county clerk is not involved in this process. The memory cards are then inserted into the tabulators, and those results immediately go to the website as each memory card is processed. And my opponent's suggestion of bilingual judges, staff, and office forms. This also on a YouTube video. Ms. Richards says she will make sure there are bilingual election judges and staff, and that all office forms will be available in English and Spanish. We provide bilingual election judges when the need requires by request of the other election judges serving that area. One of our staff members speaks fluent Spanish. Another has her master's degree in foreign languages and speaks 4 languages. We recommended a site to our IT department over a year ago, which provides a drop-down box for viewers to our website to click on, and this provides translations in every language in the world. IT made this available to every McLean County government because they thought it was such a good idea following our recommendations. So in conclusion, I will always take pride in how far we have advanced as a county by addressing the facts and the outstanding record and reputation of not only the county clerk's office, but of our entire county, one of, if not the, greatest and respected counties in the state of Illinois. We will immediately now address all further deliberate and damaging misrepresentations about our office that may hurt our citizens and our sacred election process. We have established a reputation by building voter confidence, not working to undermine it. These are my opponent's most egregiously indefensible false statements, and I ask today for Ms. Richards to retract these statements and apologize to the voters of McLean County. Thank you very much for coming, and good night.
Questions if possible.
I'm not answering any questions.
You realize we're going to write down also what are any of you folks work for her? Any familiar faces? Some of them, some of you here.
Yeah, but I have no.
No. I understand, but how many of you work in the office? Roughly. I don't know your names, and I'm not going to ask. I just.
Oh, how many?
In this, no, in this room. Okay, well, okay, that's fine. Just felt like I needed that.